David Chen sat in the examination room at Gateway Medical Center, waiting for his routine pre-travel vaccinations. The facility served both human and alien populations, staffed by medical professionals from multiple species. David had been here before, efficient, professional, no issues. His assigned nurse entered, a Velrani named Kira according to her badge. Distinctive pointed ears, luminescent markings along her temples and neck, the careful competence typical of Velrani medical staff. "Mr. Chen," she greeted professionally. "Pre-travel vaccinations for outer colony assignment." "That's correct. This will take just a few minutes." She prepared the injection, checking his records on her data pad. David noticed her markings flickering nervously, unusual for the normally composed Velrani staff. But he didn't question it. Maybe she was new, still adjusting to working with human patients. She approached with the injector. Small pinch. The serum entered his system. Normal, routine. Then Kira leaned close, her voice dropping to urgent whisper that only he could hear. "This isn't for humans, don't speak. Act normal and come back tomorrow alone." She pulled back immediately, resuming professional demeanor, charting his vitals as if nothing had happened. David's brain scrambled to process. What did she just say? What did she inject him with? But her expression, terrified, pleading, made him stay silent. She finished the appointment efficiently. "You're all set, Mr. Chen. Any unusual symptoms, contact us immediately." "Understood," he managed, voice surprisingly steady. He left the clinic feeling normal physically but deeply unsettled mentally. What had she injected him with? Why the secrecy? What did "this isn't for humans" mean? That night he waited for symptoms. Illness, reaction, something. Instead he felt good, better than good. When he accidentally cut his hand making dinner, the wound healed within minutes instead of days. His senses felt sharper. He could hear conversations from his neighbor's apartment with unusual clarity. His body felt stronger, more responsive. Whatever she'd given him was definitely not a standard vaccine. He returned to the clinic the next day, as instructed, requesting to speak with Nurse Kira privately. She met him in a private exam room, her markings flickering with anxiety and relief. "You came. You told me to, now tell me what's happening." Kira closed the exam room door, engaged the privacy lock. Her markings showed distress and determination mixed. "I made a terrible mistake," she said, voice shaking. "The serum I gave you, it wasn't your pre-travel vaccine, it was Velrani Enhancement Formula." David felt cold. Enhancement Formula. It's designed for Velrani physiology, enhances natural abilities, accelerates healing, improves cognitive function. It should be incompatible with humans, possibly lethal. Then why am I fine? Better than fine, actually. I don't know, you shouldn't be adapting. Human biology is too different. She pulled up data on a portable scanner. But you are adapting remarkably well. So what's the problem if I'm fine? The formula is classified Velrani technology, never approved for human use. If authorities discover my mistake, her markings flickered fear. I face criminal charges for unauthorized cross-species medical experimentation. And you become a test subject for forced study. David absorbed this. Why didn't you report it immediately? Because reporting triggers automatic protocols. You'd be quarantined, studied against your will. I'd face charges before I could explain it was an accident. By the time I realized what I'd done, warning you quietly seemed safer than triggering the system. So now what? We monitor your condition secretly. Watch for dangerous side effects. Hope you stabilize and we can keep this contained. Her markings showed desperation. "I'm so sorry, I mixed up the serum vials, it's my responsibility. But I couldn't let you suffer consequences of my mistake without trying to help." David studied her. She was terrified but staying to face the problem rather than running. That took courage. "Okay, we do this your way. But I need to understand what I'm dealing with. What changes should I expect? What's dangerous?" Kira pulled up information on the formula, explaining its effects, potential complications, monitoring protocols they'd need to follow. They were in this together now, both at risk, both dependent on the other's discretion. David asked the question that had been bothering him. "Why are you helping me? Why not just report it, claim I was injured by your mistake, and let the system handle it?" "Because that system would hurt you while protecting itself. And because—" She stopped, markings showing complex emotions. "Because I couldn't live with letting someone suffer from my error without trying to make it right, even if it costs me everything." Over the following weeks, David experienced significant changes. His senses sharpened dramatically. He could hear conversations floors away, see in near darkness, detect scents with precision that seemed impossible for humans. Physical capabilities exceeded human norms. He could run longer, lift more, recover from exertion almost instantly. Cognitive processing accelerated, complex problems that used to take hours now resolved in minutes. It was exhilarating and terrifying. Kira monitored him secretly, meeting in private locations away from the clinic. She adjusted his treatment to prevent dangerous side effects, taught him to control the enhanced abilities so they wouldn't draw attention. They developed trust born from shared secret and mutual risk. David learned about Kira's background during their meetings. She was a talented researcher who'd taken clinical work to support her family after her brother's medical bills bankrupted them. She was desperate not to lose this job, her only income, but also genuinely cared about David's well-being. "I should have been more careful checking the vials," she said during one meeting, markings showing guilt. "I was distracted, tired, no excuse. Everyone makes mistakes, not everyone tries to fix them afterward." Their relationship shifted from nurse-patient to genuine partnership, both protecting each other, both navigating impossible situation. But David's enhanced abilities were becoming harder to hide at work. Coworkers noticed his increased productivity, his seemingly impossible stamina, his uncanny ability to solve problems. And at the medical center, Velrani authorities were investigating unusual readings in the enhancement formula inventory. Someone had noticed the discrepancy. Time was running out before someone connected the dots. "We need a plan," David said during their next meeting. "This can't stay hidden forever." Kira's markings showed fear and resignation. "Any revelation destroys us both." "Maybe. Or maybe we control the narrative before someone else does." "What are you suggesting?" "Truth, but framed carefully. I was aware of experimental nature, consented to off-label use. Makes me complicit rather than victim. Removes the malpractice element. You'd lie to protect me. I'd tell a version of truth that protects us both. If we're going down, we go down together. But maybe we don't have to go down at all." The investigation closed in faster than expected. Kira's supervisor noticed the serum log discrepancies and called her in for questioning. Rather than let Kira face it alone, David went to medical authorities first. He revealed the truth but framed it as they'd discussed. He claimed awareness of the experimental nature, claimed he'd consented to off-label use of Velrani Enhancement Formula, made himself complicit. It was a gamble. The hearing was tense. Velrani authorities, human medical boards, legal representatives all demanding answers. Velrani authorities wanted to study David as evidence of human-compatible enhancements. Human authorities were furious about unauthorized alien medical experimentation. But David's willing participation and demonstrably positive outcomes complicated the narrative. Kira corroborated his story, though her markings showed she knew he was lying to protect her. After intense negotiation, a compromise emerged. David would submit to monitored study, with full autonomy, fair compensation, and control over what research could be published. He wasn't a prisoner or unwilling test subject, but a willing participant in breakthrough research. Kira kept her medical license, but faced probation and mandatory oversight. She'd assist with David's study, turning her mistake into legitimate research. The incident became part of official research into cross-species medical compatibility, potentially benefiting future human-Velrani cooperation. Not perfect, but survivable. A year later, David and Kira worked together officially. Him as willing test subject for enhancement formula adaptation studies, her as lead researcher on human-Velrani medical compatibility. What started as terrible mistake became breakthrough research that could help both species. At a medical conference presenting their findings, someone asked how they'd pioneered this work. Kira responded carefully, "Doctor, Chen experienced an unexpected reaction to a medical treatment. We chose to study it responsibly rather than hide it." David added, "Nurse Kira saved my life twice. Once by warning me what happened, once by standing beside me when it would have been easier to let me face consequences alone." Their eyes met across the conference table, shared understanding passing between them. What started with a whispered warning, "This isn't for humans, don't speak," became foundation for trust, partnership, and medical advancement neither could have achieved alone. The enhancement formula gave David abilities beyond normal human capacity. But Kira's courage to face her mistake and David's willingness to stand with her, those were the real enhancements. Sometimes mistakes, when met with courage and honesty, become opportunities. Sometimes breaking rules leads to breaking through. And sometimes the wrong serum administered by a terrified nurse becomes exactly what was needed, not just for one patient, but for understanding between entire species. "Do you regret it?" David asked Kira privately after the conference. "That day you mixed up the vials." Her markings flickered complex emotions. "I regret my carelessness. I regret the fear and risk. But I don't regret what we built from it." "Neither do I." They stood together, unlikely partners in unprecedented research, proof that mistakes handled with courage become foundations for progress. The serum wasn't for humans. But the trust, partnership, and breakthrough that followed, those were for everyone.